And I give the floor now to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the members of the A3+, namely Guyana, Sierra Leone, Somalia, and my own country, Algeria. At the outset, the A3+ extends its sincere appreciation to Deputy Special Envoy Najat Roshdi and ASG Joyce Msuya for their briefings. We have also taken careful note of the contribution of Ms. Amna Khulani. Madam President, the Syrian people's resilience, courage, and aspiration for peace and dignity deserve our full and steadfast support. Despite a delicate semblance of stability, the situation in Syria remains deeply fragile. Stability in Syria is not only essential for its own people, but it is also a cornerstone for the security and prosperity of the entire region. Yes, the future of Syria is intrinsically tied to the ability of its people to coexist peacefully, as they have done for centuries, and to overcome the grievances of history through dialogue, through reconciliation, and mutual respect. Madam President, a durable peace in Syria can only be achieved through a genuine, inclusive, Syrian-led and Syrian-owned political process in accordance with the principles outlined in Security Council Resolution 2254. The A3+ expresses its full support for the United Nations and for the Special Envoy of the Secretary General in their critical efforts to facilitate this process. We believe that transitional justice, national reconciliation, the clarification of the fate of missing persons, and inclusive dialogue are fundamental to healing the wounds of the Syrian people and building the foundation for a just political transition in Syria. The resilience of the Syrian people is undeniable. However, the unwavering support of the international community remains indispensable at this critical juncture. We emphasize that cooperation must prevail over confrontation and collaboration over antagonism. The path forward in Syria is in unity, not division. And the A3+ reaffirms its unwavering support for the sovereignty, unity, independence, and territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic. Madam President, the A3+ strongly condemn the repeated Israeli incursion in Syrian territory and the violations of the disengagement of forces agreement. UNDOF has reported that the Israeli Defense Forces carried out several strikes in the area of limitation on the Bravo side and has observed the continued construction of counter-mobility obstacles by the IDF along the ceasefire line. These actions not only breach Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity, but also threaten regional stability. We call for the immediate cessation of such violation and reiterate our demands for full compliance with the 94 disengagement agreement. Furthermore, we reaffirm that the occupied Syrian Golan remains Syrian territory under international law. as clearly established in Security Council Resolution 497. Madam President, we are gravely concerned by UN reports of a resurgence of Daesh activity in parts of Syria. The A3+ has consistently warned against the threat of terrorism and reiterate the urgent need for coordinated international action to decisively and comprehensively combat terrorist groups and address the root causes of radicalization. The return of instability would be a tragedy for the Syrian people, who have already endured too much. Madam President, the humanitarian situation in Syria is catastrophic. Funding shortfalls, with only 14% of the required resources received for the humanitarian response plan, combined with the worst drought-like condition in decades, are deepening the crisis. As the return of refugees is expected to increase over this summer, food and water and security will worsen. Today, as stated by Ms. Msuya, only 2.5 million out of the 8 million people targeted are reached monthly by humanitarian efforts. This is simply unsustainable and unacceptable. We call on donors to honor their pledges. This is not only a matter of principle, but of shared responsibility and international solidarity. The global community must urgently mobilize the necessary resources to report humanitarian relief and ensure a smooth transition from emergency assistance to sustainable development in Syria. This is the only viable path toward Syria's economic recovery and long-term stability. While the lifting of unilateral sanctions is a welcome step, it's not sufficient. All efforts must converge to support Syria's reintegration into the global economy, paving the way for inclusive growth and prosperity. We also underscore the importance of early recovery programming, especially in sectors such as health, education, agriculture, infrastructure, and electricity, which are vital for restoring basic services and enabling the return of millions displaced persons. Madam President, in conclusion, Guyana, Sierra Leone, Somalia, and Algeria renew its steadfast support to the people of Syria. Their quest for peace, for dignity, and recovery must be met with equal determination by the international community. The time has come to support Syria not only with words, but with meaningful actions for peace, for justice, and the future of hope in the entire region. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Algeria for his statement.